Life is painful, excruciatingly so.
Gloria Patri, Gloria Patri, Gloria Filio.
If God is true and if God is real, He's bigger than all my sin, He's bigger than all my love and compassion. Then why should I fear?
Grammy-nominated singer Jubilant Sykes stabbed to death. The primary suspect, his own son. The renowned baritone was 71 years old.
He always tried to help people. And this is why I don't understand why this could happen to a good man like this.
Police tell ET the attack happened Monday evening at Jubilant's home in Santa Monica, California.
The reporting party is also the wife and mother involved inside the home.
Yeah, authorities tell CBS LA it was Jubilant's wife of nearly 40 years, Cecily, who called for help. When first responders arrived, they pronounced Jubilant dead at the scene. His 31-year-old son, Micah, was found inside the residence and surrendered without a fight. His bail set at $2 million. The cause of the killing is still under investigation.
The son did have a history with mental illness. However, we're unsure at this stage if that was related to what tragedy took place last night.
There likely are years and years of dynamics that played into something like this.
Jubilant had 2 other boys, both grown and a successful career on stage. He collaborated with celebs including Julie Andrews, Josh Groban, Carlos Santana, and the late Brian Wilson. And he performed on some of the world's most prominent stages, including Carnegie Hall in New York City. That's where he appeared as the celebrant in Leonard Bernstein's Mass in 2008. A recording of the performance with the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra was nominated for a Grammy, but Jubilant still made appearances at his local church.
This is where he does his practices.
To see someone succeed and then not forget where they came from. He would always come back.
Yeah, Jubilant even returned to his alma mater, Cal State Fullerton, to mentor young performers.
Even though I am so much older than these guys, I see myself in their eyes. I see the longing to be great. I see the insecurities. I'm not far removed from that. I don't think any of us are. I'm broken, we are all broken. But I don't live, I try not to live by looking at myself. I look at to whom I serve and know that He loves me in spite of me.
Glory to God in the highest, and peace on earth to men.
Con la expresión cultural, justamente aquí en San Agustín. Vamos a escuchar.
Te traigo un son. Y estamos en la finca de Marín. ¡Que viva la finca de Marín!
Bueno, eres joven, tu nombre y tu apellido. Raimir Túnez. Raimir, hoy el presidente Nicolás Maduro se ha venido a disfrutar con la juventud, con los abuelos, con los niños de la casa.
Yo era muy chamo, muy niño. Tenía 16, 17 años cuando conocí todas estas calles de Marín. De aquí a La Charneca nos íbamos entre el barrio y salíamos por La Charneca a La Roca Tarpeya. Toda esta zona, yo no he sido ni seré jamás un magnate. Yo soy como ustedes, un hombre de la calle, un hombre de a pie, un hombre de los barrios. Esta es nuestra escuela, que es tan bonita. Silita, le dicen Silinda. Les quiere dar un saludo. Por eso es que el imperialismo no puede con nosotros. Y le decía a Noel algo que es cierto. Yo la última vez que caminé por estas calles, que lo recuerdo, no pude volver más nunca por la tristeza. Fue el 15 de agosto de 1980 a las 5 de la tarde cuando nos anunciaron la tragedia del Grupo Madera.
Todo el mundo con los brazos arriba. Candela por aquí. Candela por allá. Candela por aquí.
Y me voy. Despedirme no quisiera. Me despido a la llanera y me voy bailando, que es la mejor forma de irse. Volveré muy pronto para que sigamos peleando, bailando, bailando y triunfando, triunfando. ¡Que viva la patria!
Con la expresión cultural, justamente aquí en San Agustín. Vamos a escuchar.
Te traigo un son. Y estamos en la finca de Marín. ¡Que viva la finca de Marín!
Bueno, eres joven, tu nombre y tu apellido. Raimir Túnez. Raimir, hoy el presidente Nicolás Maduro se ha venido a disfrutar con la juventud, con los
te traigo un son. Y estamos en la finca de Marín. ¡Que viva la finca de Marín!
Bueno, eres joven, tu nombre y tu apellido. Raimir Túnez. Raimir, hoy el presidente Nicolás Maduro se ha venido a disfrutar con la juventud, con los abuelos, con los niños de la casa.
Tactical specialists the US says were used to seize an oil tanker in international waters. Reportedly one of 2 this weekend, totalling 3 this month, in which a ship has been taken off the coast of Venezuela. Less than a week ago, US President Donald Trump said there would be a blockade of oil tankers leaving the country. On social media, the Secretary of US Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, said that the US would continue to pursue the illicit movement of sanctioned oil, saying that it was used to fund narco-terrorism in the region. That's something Venezuela continues to deny. And just a few days ago, President Maduro had a Christmas message to its potential aggressor.
The people of the United States, not war. Merry Christmas. Don't worry. Be happy.
Venezuela now accusing the US of colonialism and unlawful piracy, condemning what it called the forced disappearance of its crew. It has repeatedly denied links to crime, saying that President Trump is seeking to oust Maduro to take control of Venezuela's vast oil reserves. Trump calls it stolen oil. Venezuela has the most proven reserves of anywhere in the world, several times more than the United States. But this week, the US Secretary of State doubled down, claiming it was a necessary step.
Until President Trump started doing something about these narco-trafficking links, nobody disputed that Maduro and his regime was in cahoots with narco-traffickers.
A few hundred miles from the coast of Venezuela, and there's been some heavy lifting in Puerto Rico after the Trump administration sent thousands of troops there in recent weeks. What's unclear is whether the US is truly gearing up for some sort of military action in Venezuela, as Trump keeps threatening, or whether it's large-scale posturing to increase pressure. Already, the US has carried out strikes on alleged drug smuggling boats, and the interventions have split the region, some like Argentina expressing support, from others, criticism.
South America is once again astonished by the military presence of a foreign power. The limits of international law are being tested. An armed intervention in Venezuela would be a dangerous precedent.
Pirates of the Caribbean is how Venezuela's put it, but this is part of a sharp escalation and one that continues to rattle the region.
In Iran overnight, but it remains unclear where the strikes did destroy all of Iran's nuclear capabilities. This report now from our North America editor, Sarah Smith.
Donald Trump, who promised to end foreign wars, went on live television to announce the attacks that may have just made him yet another wartime president.
Tonight I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
In the White House Situation Room with his top security officials, President Trump, making the final decision to attack, had to calculate what the consequences might be. Will airstrikes against Iran's nuclear sites result in attacks on US forces that could start a full-scale war? In these pictures from Isfahan, you can see and hear the airstrikes hitting one of the 3 nuclear sites attacked. Iran obviously knew this was a possibility, but may not have been expecting it so soon. President Trump had said he would take up to 2 weeks to decide whether to take military action. At the Pentagon, they want to say this operation is already over. Iran should not respond.
The operation President Trump planned was bold, and it was brilliant, showing the world that American deterrence is back. When this president speaks, the world should listen.
This Pentagon map shows warplanes taking off from Missouri in the American heartland and flying a 40-hour round trip to deliver their enormous munitions, 14 bunker buster bombs. What damage did they do? These satellite photographs show the underground nuclear site at Fordo before and then after the airstrikes. The B-2 bombers totally obliterated the site, claimed Donald Trump. The US military haven't actually made a final assessment, but say the facility has been severely damaged, not destroyed. Iran has said it will respond in self-defense. It hasn't said how.
It is an outrageous, grave and unprecedented violation of the fundamental principles of the Charter of the United Nations and international law. The warmongering and lawless administration in Washington is solely and fully responsible for the dangerous consequences and far-reaching implications of its act of aggression.
World leaders have hastily convened crisis meetings in international capitals, aware that a growing conflict would affect them all. The UN Security Council is in emergency session, deeply concerned about military escalation in the Middle East.
The people of the region cannot endure another cycle of destruction. And yet, we now risk descending into a rat hole of retaliation after retaliation.
The US Congress was not consulted before the strikes. The president can take limited military actions without it. Only Congress can authorize going to war. Democrats claim Mr. Trump has acted unconstitutionally.
This is the U.S. jumping into a war of choice at Donald Trump's urging without any compelling national security interest for the United States to act in this way, particularly without a debate and vote in Congress.
As these B-2 bombers are seen returning to their American base, their commanders don't know if they have undertaken a specific, limited mission or started a war. How will Iran retaliate for these airstrikes, and what will the US do then? This is a delicate and dangerous moment in the Middle East and around the world.
Our Pentagon reporter, Courtney Kube. And Courtney, tell us what you're learning tonight about these strikes.
Yeah, Tom, today the U.S. military striking dozens of targets at multiple locations around Syria, targeting primarily ISIS infrastructure and weapon sites, according to a U.S. official. Called Operation Hawkeye Strike, the mission was in retaliation for an ambush attack near Palmyra, Syria last Saturday that killed 2 Iowa National Guard soldiers and a U.S. interpreter. U.S. A-10s, F-16s, Apache helicopters, and artillery, joined by Jordanian F-16s, conducted today's strikes. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth writing on social media that this is not the beginning of a war, it is a declaration of vengeance. But a U.S. official said the scope and duration of the U.S. response depends in part on how ISIS reacts to today's actions. Tom?
All right. Launched missile strikes against the Islamic State group in northwest Nigeria. US Africa Command said they were carried out in coordination with the Nigerian authorities and killed what it called multiple IS terrorists in Sokoto State. Nigeria says it was involved in the planning of the operation, and the US military posted a video showing a missile being launched from a naval vessel. On social media, President Trump described the Islamic State group as terrorist scum and accused the group of targeting and viciously killing primarily innocent Christians. Well, speaking to the BBC...
This is the third U.S. strike on the Islamic State in the span of 1 week. Syria, Somalia, and now Nigeria. These latest strikes hit Nigeria's northwestern Sokoto state on Christmas Day. And as President Trump enjoyed festivities in Mar-a-Lago, he found time to share the news on Truth Social. The United States launched a powerful and deadly strike against ISIS terrorist scum in northwest Nigeria, the Post said, who have been targeting and viciously killing primarily innocent Christians at levels not seen for many years and even centuries. Trump has been threatening military action over Christian persecution in Nigeria, but the data just doesn't support his claims. Nigeria is roughly split between a Muslim population predominantly living in the north and a Christian population living in the south. Each dot on this map marks an incident of militia violence, including attacks by Islamic State West Africa Province and Boko Haram. And the spread of dots across the map suggests that violent attacks, including forced abductions and sexual violence, are evenly spread across Muslim and Christian areas in Nigeria. Data from December 2025 shows there were a higher number of attacks taking place in Muslim areas. More data from ACLED suggests that the number of mosque attacks in Nigeria has overtaken attacks on churches since 2024.
The claims that only Christians have been targeted does not tell the full story. It also erases the fact that civilians are getting killed, people are dying, and rather than framing it as an us against them situation, it should be that we should demand for more from the government, so the government should ensure that lives are protected.
On Christmas Eve, a bomb exploded in a mosque in Maiduguri, killed at least 5 people. And then the US strikes hit Sokoto. A journalist on the ground told Sky News that the strike simultaneously hit 2 communities, one of which has never reported any insecurity. There were no casualties, only partially damaged homes. The Nigerian government has publicly acknowledged coordinating with the US on the strike, but maintains the line that no religious group is targeted more than the other.
We both disagree on one thing. They believe it is a targeted killing of Christians, and we have maintained the position, which is backed up by data, that there is no targeting of a particular religion, because evidence and data show that all people of all faith in Nigeria, and even those who have not identified with faith, have become victims.
Trump's latest strike on IS targets comes with a caveat, motivated by an accusation against Nigeria that the country denies, while benefiting from their cooperation. Yusra Al-Bagher, Sky News.
Only president, I don't think any president has stopped one war. I love stopping wars. And sort of interesting, I'll be the only president, I don't think any president has stopped one war. I stopped 8 wars in 8 months. I love stopping wars. And sort of interesting.
Fighting in Sudan has taken a new disturbing turn. This week, the Sudanese armed forces lost control of a key province to a rival paramilitary group, as reports of harrowing atrocities continue to emerge. The vicious fighting, which has been raging for over 30 months, has left over 40,000 people dead, bringing about claims of genocide, and 14 million more displaced. The result is one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world. Here's everything you need to know. The conflict in Sudan is between two main forces, the Sudanese military and the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF. The RSF is a paramilitary group, an unofficial army, which operates outside a country's legitimate military, but oftentimes uses similar training, tactics, and equipment. This week, the RSF completed its 18-month siege of the provincial capital of El Fasher, the military's last stronghold in Sudan's Darfur region. Harrowing videos have since flooded social media purporting to show RSF troops killing and beating citizens attempting to flee El Fasher. According to the UN Sudan coordinator, it received credible reports of sexual violence towards women and young girls, as well as summary executions, which are extrajudicial killings that occur without a proper legal trial. Suspicions of executions further grew after chilling satellite images emerged, showing large patches of discolored ground around clustered objects. At an El Fasher hospital, over 400 people were reportedly killed. The governor of Darfur shared a video that purports to show RSF fighters roaming the hospital as bodies lay on the floor. The Sudanese military and the RSF had previously worked together in staging a coup in Sudan in 2021, taking control of the country. However, the leaders of the two groups, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan of the armed forces and General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo of the RSF, had stark disagreements about the new direction of the country. The tensions culminated in April of 2023 when violence between the two groups erupted in the capital city of Khartoum after RSF troops were deployed around the country. In the 2.5 years of subsequent fighting, the two groups have been warring to take control over capital cities and provinces, leaving thousands dead, millions displaced, and parts of the country plunged into famine. The RSF has been accused of committing heinous atrocities such as ethnic cleansing of the ethnically mixed region of Darfur to build an Arab-ruled domain. In one of the Biden administration's last acts, former Secretary of State Anthony Blinken released a statement accusing the RSF of committing genocide. The RSF and allied militias have systematically murdered men and boys, even infants, on an ethnic basis, and deliberately targeted women and girls from certain ethnic groups for rape and other forms of brutal sexual violence. Those same militias have targeted fleeing civilians, murdering innocent people escaping conflict, and prevented remaining civilians from accessing life-saving supplies. Based on this information, I have now concluded that members of the RSF and allied militias have committed genocide in Sudan, Blinken wrote. In a video statement released by Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo following the capture of El Fasher, the RSF leader vowed to investigate any violations by his soldiers in the city.
لكن الآن لجان نصرة الفاشر لجنة التحقيق تبدأ فورا في تحقيق ومحاسبة أي جندي أو أي ضابط ارتكب جرم أو تجاوز حدوده في حق أي إنسان ده فورا يتم القبض وعلنا أمام الجميع.
Over a decade ago, the nation of Sudan split into the countries of Sudan and South Sudan following a years-long civil war. As the region of Darfur falls into the hands of the RSF, fears are growing that Africa's third-largest nation will experience yet another split.
President Donald Trump saw the ratification of the Washington Accords. That's the name given to a peace deal between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. But that much-touted peace seems to have unraveled already. Rebels backed by Rwanda have taken over a major city in the eastern DRC, leaving at least 400 dead and over 200,000 displaced. Amid the chaos, the U.S. is now accusing Rwanda of leading the region towards war. Here's a report.
Tanks rolling through the boulevards. Gunshots echoing above rooftops. Dead bodies strewn about the streets, and hundreds of thousands fleeing the country to get to safety. These are the visuals coming out of Uvira. It's a city in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, in the country's east, near its border with Burundi. The M23 rebel group captured the city earlier this week. They consolidated their control by Friday. The Congolese government says that at least 400 civilians were killed by the rebels during their onslaught. And according to the United Nations, more than 200,000 people have been displaced. Many have made their way across the border into neighboring Burundi.
We fled the fighting and left everything behind. Even the children are missing. All the neighbors were killed by bombs. All the houses are burned, and we arrived without even clothes. As you can see, this is how we are. Being here, food is a problem, toilets, water are a problem. We sleep without even eating. Like me here, I am not with my husband. I am all that you see.
The M23 rebel group has waged a brutal conflict with the Congolese government over the course of this year. In January, they had captured the city of Goma. In February, they took over Bukavu. Both cities were provincial capitals of the North and South Kivu provinces respectively. Fighting continued over the next few months until a peace deal was brokered by the US in late June. And on December 4th, US President Donald Trump oversaw the ratification of the peace treaty. The deal was called the Washington Accords for Peace and Prosperity. It was supposed to end hostilities between the DR Congo and its neighbor, Rwanda. Rwanda is known to back the M23 rebel group. During the signing ceremony, Rwanda's president, Paul Kagame, said this.
It's up to us in Africa, working with our partners to consolidate and expand this peace. There will be ups and downs on the road ahead. There is no doubt about it. Rwanda, I know, will not be found wanting. I can assure you of that.
But it seems Rwanda has indeed been found wanting, and that too in less than 10 days of signing the treaty. The US has squarely put the blame on Rwanda for the latest surge in violence.
So rather than a march towards peace, as we saw under President Trump's leadership in recent weeks, Rwanda is leading the region towards increased instability and war. And in light of the commitments made in the Washington Accords, we are deeply concerned that the Rwandan military's continued presence in Congolese territory in support of M23, and we will use the tools at our disposal to hold to account spoilers to peace.
The DRC-Rwanda peace deal was personally ratified in Trump's presence. He also signed bilateral agreements with both countries to access critical minerals there. Now that the deal has collapsed, and that too so quickly, will Trump intervene again?
Ceasefire collapsed and fighting is entering its third week. Defense and military officials are meeting to discuss a framework towards possible de-escalation and moving towards a ceasefire. We understand Cambodia has presented its proposals for a ceasefire, but Thailand has its conditions, including demining and for Cambodia to stop firing first. But for people here, life is difficult. They've been displaced. According to Cambodian officials, more than 600,000 people on this side of the border have been forced from their homes. On the Thailand side of the border, over 300,000. For them, their lives are now in limbo, hinging on whether the fighting stops. Talks are ongoing, but progress here is measured by the hours passed without the sound of explosions. And we've been hearing them all day, artillery fire taking place between the two militaries. So people here are waiting. They're listening, they're watching and hoping, because for them, peace is about more than politics. It's about the moment they'll finally be able to go home. Asad Baig, Al Jazeera, on the Cambodian-Thailand border.
Shaped South Asian geopolitics for more than 7 decades. The struggle between India and Pakistan over the territory has led to multiple wars, and the area is now one of the most militarized in the world. India and Pakistan are once again on the brink of all-out war, but to understand the present tensions, you need to go back in time. Let's rewind to 1947. This is what the map looked like when Britain partitioned its former colony. Pakistan, with a Muslim majority, was created in the west, and India to the east with a mostly Hindu population. War quickly followed in October. The Hindu ruler of the Muslim-majority Jammu and Kashmir originally sought to remain independent, but when Pakistani militants invaded Kashmir, he appealed for Indian military help. The ensuing war lasted until an armistice was implemented on the 1st of January 1949, splitting Kashmir into 2 parts. Tensions continued, though, with the Second Indo-Pakistan War in 1965, again over a border dispute, and the last conflict in 1999. But by this point, both countries had gained atomic weapons, raising fears of a nuclear confrontation. Since then, both sides have continued to face off over Kashmir with accusations of Pakistani support for terrorists, something Islamabad denies. The Mumbai attack was by far the most devastating, known inside India as its 9/11. In 2008, 166 people were killed over 4 days when 10 heavily armed gunmen arrived by sea from Pakistan, unleashing a coordinated wave of terror. The latest confrontation began 2 weeks ago after another barbaric terror attack, this time in India-administered Kashmir. A popular tourist destination was targeted, 26 people killed. One assailant reportedly told a survivor, "Go tell this to Prime Minister Modi." The calculated targeting of tourists appeared designed to provoke a strong Indian response. The attack was blamed on a group calling itself the Resistance Front, and it has links to Lashkar-e-Taiba, the same organisation behind the Mumbai attacks. India has long claimed LET is used as a proxy, something Pakistan denies. It says New Delhi has failed to show any evidence of complicity. India says its response has been measured and is not escalatory. But by striking compounds in the Pakistani heartland of Punjab, it's not being seen that way by Islamabad. Pakistan is calling the airstrikes an act of war. The main worry for the world and the region are the nuclear missiles aimed at each other. Pakistan has around 170 and India has 164. But even if the tensions are dialed down, as we've seen throughout the history, the underlying causes of the Kashmir dispute, steeped in unresolved colonial legacy, will remain and could break out at any time.